Meeting to order. At the very beginning, let's look at the agenda. Any additions, changes, deletions to the agenda?
And I'll be reading library and park.
Roger.
That's not a change.
Nope.
It's an announcement.
Very good.
Motion to approve agenda.
Has been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Very good. Motion has been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Very good. Approval of the minutes from October 7th.
Motion to approve.
Has been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Very good. Motion passes. Moving right in. Going into staff reports. Fire, are you ready? Very good.
Please speak in the mic or take it off.
I can do that. Does that sound good? My name is Lieutenant Michael Holscher. I am Lieutenant of Station 10, 21st and Hillside. Very happy to report that October was a very good month for us fire-wise, which means there was not a lot of fires. 31 total fire alarms. Only 3 of those were qualified to be investigated. Again, that criteria is a dollar amount, whether there was an injury present at the fire, whether there was a possibility of arson or anything like that. So we're very happy, especially considering October was the first real cold stretch we had, and also Halloween. Our activity usually picks up. Looking at the next holiday, this is November. Thanksgiving is coming up. We just want to remind everybody, if you haven't cooked all year, don't start with cooking a deep fried turkey in the house. We laugh about it, but for 13 years, I think we have a streak going that we have seen that. Just be careful. The holidays are a time a lot of people try to get a lot of stuff done. Make sure your fire's safe. Looking at the departments, we are starting another recruit class November 18th. There's going to be 12 new recruits for us. We're also starting out a pilot program. It's called a D shift. Currently, the way it works, we have A, B, and C shift. Each of us works 24 hours. As soon as C shift gets done, A shift comes back on. In order to look at staffing issues, weekends, holidays, especially this time of year, we're starting a D shift. Take volunteers who want to, and they'll be working weekends, holidays. We've actually had a fair amount of people volunteer for it. They still work the same amount of shifts as if you were regular A, B, and C shift. We don't know if it's going to work or not. We have some ideas, but we are starting that. We are starting to incorporate a little more work with Sedgwick County Fire District. I don't have a lot to say about that. There's still a lot out there that needs to be decided, funding and that type of thing. But an example of how that would work is today we had a pretty significant natural gas call out west, with us being the hazmat team. Sedgwick County Station 33, which is Mays, has a type of detector that would make that call go much faster. So we called them down. They had no problem coming into the city, helping us out. We got to help them. Joint training. Keep your eye out for stuff like that. You'll be hearing more and more about that. Again, it's cold. We just had time change. Make sure your smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors are changed. And any questions I can field.
Very good. Questions from the board? From the community? Thank you very much for your service. Police, please.
All right, I'm Aaron Stark. We're gonna patrol north, 47 beat, 21st Grove north. I won't bore you with stats, but I will tell you that roughly 20-25% up is auto thefts. So we have a huge number of auto thefts, and that number is only gonna go up as we go into cold season. We get more and more people that think they should start their vehicle and leave it running and quick trip while they run in and get a drink and don't lock it. They do it in their driveway. I get wanting to warm up, but make sure we're locking the car if we get out of it. Obviously, we're gonna tell you not to do it at all, but we all gotta stay warm. So other reason, they're still in cars, not to steal cars anymore. They're still in cars for parts of the car. It used to be for the price of car, they could take it and scrap the whole car and get a ton of money for it. That's not the case anymore. So what they're doing is they're stealing Cadillac converters. I'm sure you've seen at some of the pawn shops that say, we take Cadillac converters top dollar. There's a reason for that. Pawn shops are there to make money, so they're gonna take whatever they can get. So if they're taking Cadillac converters, any of your starters, batteries, alternators, all the electronic components inside a vehicle are through the roof right now price-wise, so they're stealing those as well. The reason I mention this is they're usually targeting higher vehicles. So if you have churches that you all attend or anything like that, that church vans, if you guys drive higher trucks that are lifted or just regular size, it takes them about 45 seconds to roll under a vehicle, cut it with the battery-powered Sawzall, and roll back under. So they're looking for the higher vehicles that they can just roll under and roll back.
45 seconds.
45 seconds. We have a video of it happening. It's too far to make out, but we literally timed it to 45 seconds. It pulls up, rolls under. I mean, battery Sawzall go through anything, so it cuts it on each side of it and pulls it out, and then you won't even know it until it. So they're still in cars just to take the parts. They're gonna go take the parts off the car and leave the car somewhere. So you may see more abandoned vehicles in your neighborhood. Keep calling us for abandoned vehicles so we can come out and check. And we're gonna start looking under the car and stuff like that because we know this is happening. The other thing that's up, and it's been up for a while now, is our large seat autos. What that means is we need to be calling when people are in the neighborhood. Any suspicious characters, stuff like that. Patrol North did an assignment about 3 weeks ago with Home Depot. We had an undercover officer just walking around being as slimy as possible. He did a good job. We got 3 people that called. We were in partnership with Home Depot. That segment should be running here pretty soon. But, I mean, it just shows we had numerous cars just pull up right next to him and walk in and walk out and not call us or not say anything. You could tell he was up to no good, even if, you know, we're just coming to shop. So be vigilant. Tell all your people to be vigilant, and let's try to get that stopped. That's all I have. Any questions for the north side of things? Or
Yeah.
that's what I said?
Isn't there a ordinance against people leaving their cars running, being unattended?
I don't have that answer to you. I don't think there is either. I think they got rid of it. We may have had it one time, but we no longer have it on the books. So,
Thank you.
go ahead.
One of the vehicles you recovered in your area was a F-250 Gold. That was mine. How do I find out what's being done in that case?
With the case,
Yeah,
was it an auto theft case?
yeah,
Okay. The auto theft department will help you with it. They'll
Okay.
have the cases. They got a ton of cases up there, but just, you have the case number from your auto theft.
yeah.
They give to you. You just call up to the auto theft section and see what they're doing. Did they already return the car to you, I assume?
Yeah,
Okay, so,
it was not in great shape,
Right.
but
so,
you know,
did they have it for a while?
jumped the curb.
Did they have it for a while, or what? How long was it missing before they?
Well, you guys did a great job, honestly. It was gone on Saturday night, and you called me on Sunday morning, or
Was it
Sunday
any parts-
night.
Any parts missing on it, or was it just? that you-
Nothing that I know of.
You would have known it's a Cadillac.
It was, the catalytic converter was intact. Now, they did do me a favor, it was filled with trash to be taken to a dumpster the next Monday, and that was gone. So I had to pay a dumpster
Now
fee.
prices are, it's probably a wash at that point, but, get ahold of auto theft, they're the ones that do all the follow-up on all the cases.
They had a key, so I have a feeling that there's somebody involved that I know, and I would like to get that tracked down to get that person.
Yeah. It sounds like, if they had a key, it's probably an inside job, I would say most likely, unless you left a key in another car.
No, somebody had access at one point, and we're not supposed to have a key.
We're tracking some auto theft rings, but they have the same MO and they don't have keys, so.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Any questions from the community? Sir?
Why is it so hard to, there's no way you can prevent these, people who are buying these converters with their signs out there? There's no,
Cadillac
You
converters
can't-
don't have serial numbers on them,
Right.
they're not tied to the car. So we can't
but
prove
if they're
what
chopped
Cadillac.
off, that's an obvious sign, isn't it?
Yeah, but if I just went and chopped off my own and sold it, how would you know the difference? That's what we fight. There's no sure way to, we can't hold the pawn shop responsible if there's nothing identifiable on the part itself. So, I mean, they're not serial numbered, most people don't even know what a Cadillac converter is or what it is. So, they're not documenting what it looks like when they get the car or anything like that, so we have no way of holding them. do temper property on these pawn shops, but they get them and then they do what they have to with them. So there's nothing traceable on the Cadillac.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
Very good. Any other questions? Very good. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Officer Terrell. I'm the 37B Policing Officer out of the Patrol East Bureau. Unlike Officer Stark, I will bore you with some of the stats. Ag assaults in Patrol East Bureau are down 1%. Robberies are down 25%. Burglaries are down 7%. Auto thefts for us, at least, are down 21%. And then larceny to autos are up 8%. With those, one of the common themes that we've definitely been seeing is people leaving their vehicles left unlocked, and then obviously valuables being stored inside there. So, as is always, a good recommendation there, and especially this time of year as we go into the shopping seasons and people frequently, a lot of businesses make sure that we're locking our vehicles and removing any valuables that are kept within. And again, with it being the upcoming shopping season, had a meeting here recently with some of the organized retail crime units from some of the larger retailers around town, and they expressed some things that they've been starting to see here lately. Lately include prepaid cards, as far as giving like gift cards. Make sure that if you're going to purchase it for a loved one, that you're checking the back of it and make sure that nobody's scratched off the back. That's something they've definitely seen an uptick in. That way, as soon as you purchase it, somebody else would be able to obtain those funds off of that card and use it for themselves. And then also with another scam that's been going around here lately is the energy company has changed name to Evergy, and they've got an automated system that some scammers are being used to randomly call people and telling them that they have a delinquent bill and that they need to go ahead and make sure that their account has been taken care of, and try to encourage people to give some of their personal information. So obviously, if somebody contacts you, you don't provide any personal information to them, you need to find out your own contact information for them, contact them, and then you can obviously go ahead and give it at that time. Does anybody have any questions for the east side of town?
Any questions for the community? Very good. Thank you for your service.
For what it is, Malloy's new to community policing, signed out east, that's why he's east. Or, what? That's your sidekick there. The new guy. The new guy. I come in shaking my head at these guys. I'm Officer Cross of Wichita Police, Patrol South Community Policing, Old Town area, known as 21B, which is Old Town in the arena. As you can see, officers are going through their little donation thing of No Shave November, so you'll see I come in here shaking my head at them all the time, like, this is terrible. I always tease them for that kind of stuff. The auto theft thing, we used to write parking tickets for people leaving their cars. That was overturned, I think, in the upper courts, and that's why we had to stop doing it. It was the only effective thing that we had, because a lot of times we roll into a quick trip or something like that, and people leave their car running, and you're like, hey, and they're like, well, you're sitting right here. Not for long, but I mean, it's responsibility. Well, there's a lot of responsibility that goes back on this thing. I think once we start getting into the colder seasons here, we all run statistics and we start finding out about 9 out of 10 of those cars are running in the morning. And so if you got transient traffic, school age kids running around the neighborhood during that timeline, a lot of times they'll jump in it and ride for a couple miles at most. You know, they'll take it from A to B, and then you'll have the recovery points and stuff like that. A lot of times you'll see the auto thefts affects or a lot of auto thefts are around because there's drug activity in the neighborhood as well, especially where they're recovering them at. So a lot of times the cool part is now we're really utilizing analysts. Each bureau, including investigations, has an analyst, and actually educated, knowing how to crunch numbers and say, all right, here's what I'm seeing with numbers and stuff like that. And it took many years to get those analysts in, but they're starting to kind of figure out how to work with them and do some good things from there. So if we go back to writing tickets or something, be awesome. Anybody I talk to, I'm like, you got to get one of those. I don't remember I'm trying to think what they're called, but you used to stick them in your steering wheel and then lock in. The break back the club. So we started a new wave on that. Older vehicles, older trucks are what we're seeing too. I'm assuming your Ford's probably in the 90s to 2000 mark.
It's a 2000.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of times, so over time too, another thing, you probably noticed this, if you put your keys in your car and your keys can pull right out, then you're wearing out your ignition as well. So a lot of times it's a quick screwdriver or something fast. And they are, and like they said earlier, they're stripping them, so they'll chase the money however they do, and it goes from there. And as far as Old Town goes, in my area on 21 Beat, Old Town is, it's doing all right. It's had there's been some Facebooks that go out on a fight, and I've seen a Facebook post went out, and it trickles the captains and chiefs, and everybody's in a panic because there's this huge fight on Facebook, and then when you actually get looking at some of the fights, it's not as bad as hectic as it is. So if you imagine trying to record something and all this movement's going on, and these people are here, and also this guy's laying here, and you're like, what's going on? And then you get into a high def camera oversight, and you're watching this thing, and you're like, okay, this guy comes in, starts something with this guy, gets taken out by the bouncers, removed physically, goes around, bouncer comes, the big mistake in one of those circumstances from a couple weeks ago is the bouncer took his eye off the guy, because the guy walks around the corner, takes off his hoodie, zipped up hoodie, drops the hoodie, comes right around, hops the fence, goes right after the guy again. So what we're doing on a lot of those now, and game plan is to, even though nothing happens that night within the police, they get it broken up and move forward, but we're gonna go back on some video, we're gonna try doing some other things with this. And that is to identify these fighters, these problems that are down there, and then charge them with disorderly conduct fighting. Disorderly conduct fighting in the Old Town area, or in what we call the entertainment district, a couple years back helped put in control where I think there's about 20 violations, or just over a dozen. I think at first I called them like the dirty dozen. If you have a disorderly conduct fighting, you have an assault, a battery, a larceny, tampering with an auto, which would be like somebody going around trying to open car doors and stuff like that. Offenses like that are a $500 first time offense fine. Judge cannot deter from that. It's $500 plus court costs. Second offense is $1,000 plus court costs, and then the third offense is where we like to map them. If you know the term mapping, was used a lot up and down Broadway for prostitution and stuff like that. Once they're caught in that area, it's basically they're kicked out of the area. Can't even be in the box. On third offense factors, we see these, and if they're even seen in the box, they're immediately arrested for a violation of that. But what we're looking at as far as this disorderly conduct fighting, stuff like that, we're gonna try to identify them, charge them with the disorderly conduct fighting, and then we're gonna come back with a first offense mapping, and this will be in the judge's hands. All the mapping goes in the judge's hands. If they will willingly map them, if there's reasoning to. So if this person's gonna come down to this area and cause a fight or get in a fight, then they don't even need to be in the area. So we'll try that first time offense. Hopefully word will get out as far as usually pretty quickly, like even if you screw up around there, then bad things happen. And a lot of times that has a lot of effect to it. So we're trying to do that. We're almost done with that gate project, but they're supposed to be done. If anybody's driven through there on 2nd Street, between Washington and say railroad track Santa Fe, going towards downtown, they're still doing construction. Like, I think they messed up a couple times on some engineering diagrams, from my understanding when I was talking to some people down there. So it was supposed to be done, I think, in October, and now it's still going. So that's probably close to being done. I think they're getting close to that, and then we're gonna have our final project as far as the gates going. The gates will be down there. That's a crowd control with the vehicle control separation, keeps them separated. Phenomenal job, works very well, but that's about it. Other than that, lock your cars up, hide your items when you're out shopping. I know when college kids start coming back in November, I don't know if you guys will end up having you won't have one. Okay, so Thanksgiving, we're gonna have, I think we was approved to have some mounted unit down there on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. The winter breaks on colleges is where everybody comes back. Old Town gets very busy, and to have those horses down there during that time is a phenomenal thing. They're think I've heard 20-1 is their ratio. One horse is worth 20 officers as far as crowd movement, and probably 10. It's more like a 10-1, but that's a big movement. It's when you have, 1,000 people sitting in the street, horses are pretty good at moving. That's about all I can think of right now. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Pretty smooth Halloween week.
Pretty smooth, I think, as far as it went, yeah. I think the weather plays a portion. I think what I noticed, and this isn't just in Wichita, but talking to different people from different places, because we're in some training at Halloween, is that what we're seeing is there's a lot more, we'll say a lot less door to door, a lot more organized trunk or treat activities through either organizations, churches, community places and stuff like that, because, I mean, honestly, it's you think about it now, and it's crazy out there. It's kind of scary to be like, all right, kids, we'll see you later. Go fill up a pillowcase with candy. And that's kind of, it's alarming, because the reality is that things have, I mean, I did it when I was a kid. We went out there and did that. I think it's just kind of unsafe now, and things are just kind of more dangerous. So, but like I said, a lot more. It went pretty good for us, though. We didn't have any major issues. Anything else?
Very good.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your service. All right. That ends item 2 in the staff reports. So Camila, you're up with the library report, please.
This is email on behalf of Ann Ethan with the library for District 1, reminding that all library locations will be closed November 11th in honor of Veterans Day. And they're also going to be closed Wednesday, November 27th and 28th and 29th for Thanksgiving week. And also at Angelou Branch Library, they're still having the evening after hours computer lab assistance, Mondays and Thursdays, 6 to 9 p.m. for job search, resume building, and filling out other documentations with computers, laptops. The Big Read is going in full swing until November 15th. This year, they're encouraging the community to read Lab Girl by Hope Genre. And you can go to the website to see more information on that, bigreadwichita.org. They're also having an exclusive concert for 1,000 books before kindergarten participation. So on Saturday, November 9th, the Sugar Free All-Stars will play 2 free concerts in Wichita at the Advanced Learning Library at 2:30. And this is, again, participants for kids before kindergarten, get them active reading. Then November is Kansas Reads to Preschoolers Month. So statewide initiative with goal of creating young readers and promoting library usage. And this year, thousands of preschoolers in Wichita will read I Like Myself by Karen Beaumont. And lastly, please visit wichitalibrary.org/events for upcoming activities. That ends my library report.
Very good. Did she give us her address?
Yes, that is 2755 East 19th Street. This is my second home, 2755.
Very good. All right. Do you also have Park and Rec? Fantastic.
All right. Park and Rec on behalf of Angela Buckner and District 1 activities. So at Linwood, their Halloween event was on October 25th from 6 to 8 p.m. They had 275 people attend. And due to East High providing 22 JROTC members, they saved $1,196.58 in staff costs due to the volunteers. And the volunteers ran carnival activities, and they were participants in the haunted room. Linwood Rec Center also hosted dinner dialogue in partnership with Beyond Tolerance, Global Faith in Action, and the City of Wichita, which is basically sitting down and having a conversation with people you don't know from the community, talking about acceptance, understanding, and compassion. Edgemoor's Halloween in the Park brought in over 1,200 participants on Friday, October 25th from 6 to 9, and there was a plethora of volunteers. They said everyone left with lots of candy, teddy bears, bicycle helmets, tote bags, craft projects, and more. Lynette Woodard Rec Center, they have a new Sunday Ninja Warrior fitness class. It generated $450 in revenue with 30 toddlers participating in the class, and over 90% of the people who signed up attended. Due to the attendance, they had a waiting list of 20 plus people. They created a second class, and so there's many Ninja Warriors running around here on Sundays. The next session starts Sunday, October 27th. A new addition for Lynette Woodard downstairs is a new climbing wall has been installed in the gymnasium. Thanks to park maintenance, the climbing wall will give Woodard extra push for success for additional features and start programming with higher and additional staff for tots and youth. And it's additional revenue source with the climbing wall also. Woodard will offer junior climb in the winter and expand there from additional services and activities. Lastly, McAdams Fall Festival occurred October 25th with 230 kids and parents attended. Pickleball will be added to McAdams this winter session. And if I could throw in, not on their report, Atwater hosted Trunk or Treat also, and we had over 500 kids and youth in our parking lot on Halloween night. So, thank you.
Not bad. Very good. Thank you. Moving on to the public agenda. Right now we have no scheduled items, but if anyone in the public would like to go ahead and talk about something that's not on the agenda, this would be the opportunity to do so. Seeing none, we will go ahead and move on to the, oh, ma'am, yes, please forgive me. If you would, please come to the podium, give your name and address, and we'll give you 5 minutes.
Okay, I'm Vivian Mitchell Ford. I live in Fairmount neighborhood, 1526 Fairmount Street. Been there for 35 years. Have been for most of that time very active on the neighborhood association, and I'm now vice president of the organization. And there are two things that are slightly bothering me. We've just passed the item on parks and recreation. We have a park. It's a very nice park. The trouble is people take unleashed dogs there and dangerous dogs, and we've had 3 or 4 people have been attacked in the park by dogs who are with a group, but they say, we want him to be off the leash so he can protect us. You just don't get it, that it's an accident waiting to happen if somebody comes along with another dog. And this is what has happened for at least 3 times, twice to my neighbor who has a kind of feisty dog, but generally speaking, he's always on a leash, and if he doesn't meet another dog, it's fine. The park, I feel, is meant to be for people to go and enjoy themselves and have recreation. It seems to be impossible now to realize, to understand why we can't make it that safe. Now, here's my point. We asked the city if we could put up signs saying dogs must be on a leash. It doesn't say that anywhere. I mean, it's easy to say keep off the grass or keep away from this or that hazard, but we cannot put up signs, and we weren't talking about a lot of signs, but up the busiest ends of the park, we thought at least, actually we thought about 10, but that might have been overdoing it a bit. But, you know, enough so that anybody coming in with a dog will be reminded of that law. Now, I know it's not always going to work, but somewhere there might be an ordinance listed, the one that deals with unleashed dogs. And the city apparently does not recognize any need to have signs of that type in any park. But most parks are not as big as ours, not as walkable as ours, and we've got a lot of trees, and we do have some people in the neighborhood with bully dogs. And I think our case might be a little bit more pressing when people are actually being hurt. I mean, a friend of mine, her dog was in a veterinary hospital for a long time, and she also was hurt, you know. And the police have been informed about this, so it's not a police problem, but it is a city one if they don't take each case on its individual basis. Yes.
Do you, can you give me your email address?
No, I can give it to you afterwards.
Just give it to Camila.
Sure, I'll give it to Camila has it, yeah.
If I could respond, we have replied back, and basically the city, as in Park and Rec, cannot put up signs for everything, and cause then it would be like, pick up your trash, no littering, no smoking, no dogging, so it's one of those ordinance where it's the known ordinance, it's known, and they're choosing not to follow it, so we need you to keep calling 911 every time, take pictures of the dogs if it's safe to do that, and you happen to know where the owner lives. And so we have to enforce it on a case-by-case basis, especially if you know who the owners are, then the code department
Well, the
can't
trouble is,
enforce
we're
that.
big enough neighborhood, we don't know who the owners are, and there are no other signs saying pick up your trash, and that's something else that doesn't happen.
And that's what we're saying, if we had a sign for every ordinance, our park
Well, I'm
would be
talking
loaded
about
with
two
signs.
right there, and the most common things that people come across in parks are loose dogs and trash. And we don't have signs anywhere saying what people can't do. There's a lot of things that they can do, bring their kids to playgrounds and so on, but dogs are dangerous to everybody, particularly to kids. So, you know, it's like a no that doesn't
I
really
would
make
say
sense.
we need to write to Animal Control and Park and Rec Department, that we just keep taking your messages to them.
Animal control.
That's when it comes to, yeah,
Yeah.
we'll do sidebar, we'll talk,
Okay.
since we're on recorded time here right
All
now.
right, okay, I've had my 5, right?
Very good.
I'll
Thank
follow up with you.
All right, are there any other public agenda items? Very good. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on to the new business. Item number 7, Brad Snap.
It's really good, because I was afraid I was gonna have to use a rear view mirror to see the slides. Thank you.
Camila's very helpful.
She is. I've been watching that. I brought some, do you have the PowerPoint in front of you on paper? And does anybody want one?
They don't.
Okay.
I'll have some paper copies.
I'm fine. They didn't want one.
Thank you.
You do want
Oh.
one? Well, I have 2 important tasks. I'm Brad Snap. I'm Assistant Director of the Housing Department here, Housing and Community Services. And the 2 tasks, 2 agenda items. First, I'll want to walk you through the process of we've just finished a 5-year consolidated plan that covers our community development block grant, home, and ESG programs. And now we're coming into the time where we do our 2nd year action plan. So the city receives funds from the federal government. We're an entitlement city, so we get home CDBG dollars, our community development block grant, and $2,000,008 was our allocation for this year. Our program year for next year begins July through June 30th of 2021. And so with home, we have $1,000,003 an emergency shelter grant. We get consistently about $238,000. The funds are used for community improvement. And I'll walk you through what the eligible activities are. Miller's, I feel like I'm going backwards. That's what's wrong.
So the process is, we begin our public outreach right now. This is our first meeting of public outreach. So from November through February of 2020, we're gonna be gathering community input on all of the needs. There'll be the basis for our action plan, our second-year action plan. And in December, at this meeting, I'm gonna ask you for a nomination from your DAB to serve on the Grants Review Committee. That committee has 3 meetings that begin in latter part of January, the end of February. And so, then in March, we go to the city council and ask to authorize a 30-day comment period, because by then we'll have our action plan formalized, put together, and our spending priorities set according to what the Grants Review Committee believes is appropriate. And then after the 30-day comment period, we'll come back to council and ask them to approve the plan. So the activities have to meet national objectives, benefit low and moderate income, prevent slumber, blight, address urgent community needs. When you think of urgent community needs, that means catastrophic things. I think if we have something that's really catastrophic, that means we have to get together with the city council and reallocate all the money we've programmed and use it for something really dire. So then, not less than 70% of the money has to be used for low to moderate income people. So there's a limit on public services of $1.1 million. Shows what, you have to have a contract or a memorandum of understanding. You can't just give money to somebody to do something. And then we have infrastructure improvements, and I brought a list of some of the things that have been done in District 1. Recently, we did some paving and drainage project on New York Avenue between 14th and 15th Streets. We tied into McAdams Park on 15th Street, did some drainage. We did really nice playground improvements at Dr. Glenday Park. We did, one of the first things I did when I was at the city a number of years ago, we did sidewalk improvements on Kensington Street over in that area. I mean, the thing I love about sidewalk improvements is oftentimes you might have, because of trees or something, sidewalks will raise. Well, if you're a kid on a tricycle, that's pretty difficult to traverse. If you're an older person with and that's walking, that's even more difficult. So it's just a really beautiful thing, in my opinion, to see just level sidewalks. Gosh, that guy needs to get out more, but I just love it. So a lot of different things: domestic violence, shelter services, youth crime. You're probably familiar with the Way to Work program. It's a real successful summer youth employment program where we target children, 14 and 15-year-olds that are primarily assisted, but their families are assisted by the Wichita Housing Authority. Sometimes we go outside of that, but we have about 100 kids a summer that learn how to work, and they really do have real jobs. And then in the home program, we have home ownership, just a variety of things. It's a really important program. Last year, I think, new home buyers, 22 new home buyers last year were assisted by the home program. And then CHODO requirements, the Community Housing Development Organization, they have to be a 501c3, they have to have a capacity, and there are a lot of folks that want to develop housing, but they need to have experience. We don't want to entrust public dollars with someone who doesn't have a record that can pull off and complete a project. homeless assistance, homeless prevention, rapid rehousing, and this HMIS is a database that the United Way administers, and so that prevents people from having repeated services or double services for homeless. It tracks homeless people and not their activities, but the whole goal is to create a program that homeless people will become unhomeless, be housed, and we just want to know that that's happened and like want to track it through that program. So, one thing we want to know from you, if you have some ideas tonight, I'll be glad to write them down. But what should be funded in the allocation or increases? What are activities do you think are the highest priority or the lowest priority? And are there urgent needs which could be considered? Another way to answer those questions is to whoever you select for your GRC nomination, you can give them those priorities and then they carry that to the table. And when we issue a request for proposal, we'll get proposals from agencies. They'll present those in February and GRC will assess those. So that's our presentation in a quick review. I'll be glad to stand here and answer questions for as long as people have.
Any questions from the board? I had a couple of years ago when I got the opportunity to work on the Grants Review Committee, there was some question or at least discussion about federal funds actually drying up in potential near future. Is there any more view into that, or does it look like things are continuing?
We believe they're continuing. You never know really from year to year until the federal budget comes out.
Sure.
And the allocation committees do their work. But we haven't heard anything other than we believe things are going to be about the same as they were last year, funding-wise.
Roger. Cool.
Question, I know we heard about, I think last year or year before, that a lot of the city housing units were gonna be remodeled and updated. People were gonna be moved from a house while the house, and then moved back.
Yeah.
How is that program going?
It's the Rental Assistance Demonstration Project for the Wichita Housing Authority. And we're learning that it's a lot more cumbersome process than we anticipated. Right now, we expect the senior properties for McLean Manor, Greenway Manor, Rosa Gregg, and Bernice Hutcherson. Those are multifamily properties, and we expect those to close in about 4 months. We talked about that today. We had a RAD team conference call with our developer and our consultant and all the people around the table. The single-family sites are another story, and there's a lot to that. We're going to have, at some point, we'll have a workshop for the city council members, and we were charged with getting a plan in place for the single-family sites before we had that workshop. There's, Housing Authority has 578 units. There's 226 units in the senior multifamily properties and 352 units in the single-family scattered site. And, there's a lot of problems we're encountering with investors and lenders and things like that that go into the process. We have some units, there's 206 units that are fairly close together, kind of clustered, but there's 146 units that are down in kind of, you picture the west side of Wichita down south are very scattered. And so there's just a lot of things that, we didn't realize that lenders and investors look into as far as developing those kind of properties. So, long story short, the senior units, the multifamily, are moving along, and they'll, once they can, or that project closes, then we'll begin rehab on all of those units. The single family, we're still moving that direction, but we just have to do different things. Councilmember Johnson will learn about that at some point in a workshop.
So you need investors? I thought the funding was put in place already, so you still need
Well,
investors?
what we have in place already are tax credits that we were awarded from the state. They're historic. And so the investors are the ones that buy the tax credits, and then you have to get a loan on top of that. So there's just a lot of things to do. And we have to address the concerns, and investors have more concerns over those scattered site single family than they do the multifamily properties.
I was gonna ask, the 10th and 15th Street Bridge, remember that came before that, does that fit into something like this?
I
Can you repeat that?
I don't think so.
No.
I just wanted clarification if the 10th and 15th Street Bridge, redo, that doesn't fit, I just, before I asked.
Could you go back to that slide with the questions?
Which one?
That one right there.
Okay.
So for Dab, if you have any information you'd like to give at this point to answer those questions, this would be a good time. If not, then you could email myself and Camila after the meeting, but definitely consider those questions.
Actually, I think this is kind of a neat opportunity with this group. There's a couple of us that have actually been on this board before, and we also actually have someone on the DAB that has some experience working with us that kind of precludes him from being on this particular grant committee going forward. In my brain, when I'm looking at the situation, we have a strong economy now. Wichita's unemployment, Kansas unemployment is significantly lower than it's been in quite some time. Good things. Yet we still actually have homelessness, that type of stuff. In my brain, I wish the funds, or at least a decent portion of what we actually have here, would actually go towards trying to not just maintain and that, but do what we can to get people out of that situation and into a better place. A couple of years ago, there was just the beginning of trying to go ahead and start funding behavioral health, mental health associations with these funds. I don't know where we ended up last year, but I'd love to go ahead and kind of bounce that off of you, Tyler, and see what your thoughts would actually be. With the economy that we actually have, personally, I'd love to see some of the funds that we actually have available trying to get people out of that situation with homelessness, more towards mental health, other things that are keeping them in that situation. I know with your background, you have some thoughts about it, and I'd just love to hear what you have to think.
Well, I'd have to explore where, are you talking about from the federal government?
These funds, yes.
Could you clarify maybe, I think Aaron's trying to say the funds we have in Wichita that may or may not be allocated towards mental health funds.
Yeah, right now, I don't believe there's a significant portion that has historically been. I think there's a small portion that has, but I think if I recall correctly, a lot of them went to the Chodos, a lot of it actually went to the regular funds that actually go to the homeless shelters and that type of stuff, which is all good. But if all of our funds actually go to just maintaining a good place, then we're kind of missing an opportunity in a great economic environment to get people out of that situation. And I just wanted to.
When it comes to mental health funding, it's my understanding that a lot of that funding comes from the state. The federal government can assist in what ways they can, oftentimes through grants, and that's what we try to explore. We try to create a better environment in Kansas to try to funnel those dollars to what we've been talking about, from my understanding.
Okay.
Although our economy is a little better, and I saw that too, there is still a lot of working poor in Wichita.
There are.
And I know rentals have been increasing, and the quality of the homes that you're getting may not be meeting that level. So I think we should still put an emphasis on making sure people have a decent place to live along with the homeless population, because I know they have tremendously been displaced in Wichita, and we know that there are places for the homeless. That's why we see the tents popping up. And so I think there should be a good balance of how we talk about a livable wage. We should make sure that people have a livable home as well.
Okay. One thing we do is the home repair program, and that some of it is kind of an emergency home repair when they have a roof, a furnace, they need some ADA accessibility. And problem with too much white paper is lost people. I think there was 179 homes addressed in the home repair program last year.
Good.
But anyway, I added that livable homes and mental health funding.
I'd like to add some. I was on the committee last year, and it was a phenomenal experience to see all the great organizations that are doing much needed work. One of the recommendations that I have, we had a lot of organizations that were applying for these grant funds that do youth enrichment activities. And when I would ask how do they measure success, or what do the demographics of their organization look like, because many of them said that they work with a wide, diverse range of populations, and when I asked for that data, they were not able to provide it. So if they're able to provide the data of the population, of the young people that they serve and their demographics, as well as how they're measuring success. So if a program is saying that our goal is to help, close the high school achievement gap or the graduation gap, how are we measuring that success, and what does that look like?
Could you summarize that for me?
I will email you everything everyone's saying.
Okay, there you go.
In general, so with his past experience, he saw a lot of new programs, and he was just hoping that some of those programs that are asking for funds be able to go ahead and provide specific data on who they are working with, rather than just broad generalities, and be able to go ahead and specifically talk how they are measuring their success or progress.
Yep. Okay, great.
And just so you guys know, I've got a little microphone for him here. It's tied right there. So I think we all hear you, but Janelle, would you do that? Okay, go ahead.
One other thing, because you talked about that you did play ground equipment up at Dr. Glendale Park. That park is also used for youth football program that the city puts on. That park could actually use funding for increased parking lots, or the football fields, or just something else at that park, because that park is used by, I don't even know, Camila, do you guys keep a number of how many people use that park in the football season?
That goes to Park and Rec.
Park and Rec, okay. Well, there are a lot of people, if you drive there on any Saturday, people are parked on the grass, they're parked, if they can sneak in the berms, and so if the park could get any of that funding to address some of those issues, that would really impact a lot of your citizens that, in Wichita, not just Northeast community, but the actual citizens of Wichita, because kids come from all over at that park.
Okay, great, thank you.
This has been some of the better and more productive conversations I think we've had on this in years past, so kudos.
I would want to explore something, again, not having served on the transfer review committee, but something that's close to me is the.
Pardon me, excuse me. If you could just pass that mic down to him. Okay. You can just hold it up and talk and then pass it back.
I might just do that. I'm concerned about the refugee community here in Wichita. The federal government, the executive branch, actually has the power to unilaterally determine what numbers those are every year for refugees coming into our country. I think for 2020, the numbers are going to be down in, I think, 18,000. That's significantly lower than in years past. I've spoken with refugee ministries and organizations that help place refugees once they get to Kansas. And they're concerned they get federal dollars based on the amount of refugees that they place, and if their numbers are so few, they might not exist if this continues year after year. So I don't know if there's an avenue for the city to kind of step in and help them out. I think it's just something to explore.
Okay, great, thank you.
That's an interesting comment too. Some of the discussion that I've heard on that topic too is that we don't expect that it would actually stay, or most people don't expect it would stay permanently low. And if and when it comes back up, because the numbers have been so low and you lose some of that specific talent that actually has that knowledge base to go ahead and help, it's tough to recruit back to those positions after they've actually gone someplace else. So, food for thought. Anyway.
Great.
All right. Does that
Okay.
conclude item 7? And we
Okay.
move on officially to 8?
Do you have the nomination form for the GRC committee?
I have it. I have one copy, they don't have it.
All right.
I have to take that back with me tonight.
Yes, I'm ready for you.
No
I'm ready
pressure.
for you.
That's right, no pressure. So along those lines, I think a handful of us here at the tables have actually had that opportunity. We have one opportunity to go ahead and have from District 1 to go. Does anybody have an interest in that? I heard you might.
I have an interest.
Fantastic. Does anybody else have an interest? Does anyone object? We have our person. Very good.
Actually,
All right, well, I'll be here until the meeting closes, and then I'll take the form back. Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
I can't wait till the next time I come so I can know which way to push the hands.
Very good. All right, so we'll move into board agenda. Any updates? Go ahead and start down at the end.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Good.
Make sure you all get out and vote tomorrow. Polls open at 7:00 a.m. 6
6.
Whoa. Look
That's
at
good.
how fancy we are. 6 a.m.
I don't have any updates, but there was something I wanted to follow up from the last meeting. We've talked over the years a number of times about Crestview Lakes, that type of thing. And I don't remember who had actually mentioned it, but I believe we had mentioned that the city has the potential to start looking into the lakes, do some potential dredging, and actually take those costs back to maybe it's potential homeowners, but hopefully address some of the drainage issues. If that is available to us, I would sure like to see that happen, because we've heard for years every time that comes back that that's a major problem. Anybody remember who actually was talking about that? Camila, do you know? Who was that? Yes, Camila. Please tell us.
Sorry, I got a little humor, little money, not humor. Actually, President James Roseborough and, the Neighborhood Association, and then, Steve Falke is president of the Homeowners Association. So those
Right.
two have actively met with city staff on a regular basis.
Are they moving forward with
I
anything?
don't know if it's where it's moving forward, because it's gonna end up being a budget CIP issue.
But I thought,
Concerns about how that works in. That's a good follow-up question, I'm gonna type in and.
yeah, please.
And see what's the last thing that Mr. Roseborough and Steve Falke had from their conversations with city staff. So them two as presidents have had numerous conversations about the creek draining down into
Sure.
that neighborhood.
Right. I thought I had recalled there being some conversation like addressing updates to sidewalks. If the city comes back and fixes a sidewalk in front of your house, they come back and assess it back to the house. I thought there was some opportunity to work on that, but make the assessment, or at least some portion of that to the neighborhood. Or is this all gonna go through
They're not
CIP?
comparable. I don't know how to compare those, I can't speak on those, the two different conversations I couldn't compare. Because you
Okay.
have the option to pay for your own sidewalk to be repaired,
Right.
and then if not, you can be assessed through the city.
Roger, okay. Anyway, I'd be curious on an update, that's all.
I don't have anything.
Just one more reminder that the NAACP is having their 99th Annual Freedom Fund Banquet. It'll be on Saturday, November 16th at the Marriott Hotel. Tickets are $65. Where our 2019 honorees this year are Carla Eccles, Tommy Benford, AJ Jones, co-pastor Pamela King Barnes, Dr. Sharon Cranford, William Polite, Mr. Bryce Graham, the League of Women Voters, Greg Marshall, and Mary Hugh. Is that you pronounce it? Yeah, and again, it's NAACP, the oldest civil rights organization that is still in existence, and the purpose of the banquet is to get funds, and that allows for training and bringing people in to talk about different issues. So the money doesn't go in just for parties and having a good time. The funds are really used to get training and to help people with their civil rights issues in Wichita. And so if you're available, we ask that you please come out. If you need tickets, you can contact any NAACP executive board member, which is Larry Burks, Levanta Williams, Kenya Cox, Ms. Elaine Guillory, or myself, LaWanda DeShazer.
There will be a Books and Breakfast relaunch on Saturday, November 16th at McAdams from 10 to 11:30 a.m. It's a program that serves free breakfast to the community. Also provides books, and we're going to launch a book reading program for the children. And so we encourage the community to come out, bring the children. Like I said, free breakfast, free books. We'll get the kids signed up so they can start reading programs. So we're going to be intentional about making sure our kids read. And then also there's an organization there that gives free hygiene products. But
Very good. Sir?
Awesome. I have a few. Unfortunately, we had to say goodbye to Miss Anicia. She is busy with her studies and stepping away from the District Advisory Board, so definitely appreciate her service. But that's why she's not here tonight. I want to just remind everybody about the Riverfront Legacy Master Plan. The next public opportunity to engage is November 14th from 6:30 to 8 at the Hyatt. Again, tell everybody we want to make sure we engage as many people as possible for the riverfront. And another reminder that it is bigger than Century 2. I know everybody wants to talk about Century 2, but it's truly a campus plan, which can include Century 2 or it cannot include Century 2. But we want to look at all of that. That's November 14th.
Week from Thursday.
6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Hyatt. So definitely love to see you out there. Water treatment plant update, if you haven't heard, remember that we had applied for $524.5 million. We got the final number from the Wichita Water Partners, which is at $494 million. So it's a savings of $30 million over what was projected. There's still some additional cost with finalizing everything, but the final number that we received and was filed with our WIFIA application, which was turned in successfully, was $494 million. On that same conversation, we talked about this at the breakfast, but ethics continues to come up. As a council, we will likely have a ethics retreat where we talk about this together. Our retreats are open to the public because we're all together, so you can go to those. And I'm not sure when that will be scheduled, but we have been talking about what that will look like, and we'll probably have some pretty robust discussion about what it looks like as far as everything that folks have brought up and things that people may not have thought about to bring up. So we talk about gifts, but distinguishing nonprofits from for-profits and having that conversation. Is there a ledger showing all the expenses or things that get paid for us? All of those things will probably be talked about. And personally, I support an ordinance over a policy. A policy is something that we can just change when we want to. An ordinance goes through a little bit more vetting, and it's out in the public and takes 60 days, depending on the type of ordinance, to actually become law. So that's something I support, but we should have those retreats coming up in the near future. And Just want to remind everybody, as Joseph did, tomorrow's election day, but we're doing free transit. So if someone can't get to the polls because their vehicle won't start, or in 45 seconds they lost their catalytic converter, they can get on the city bus and go vote still and get back home and make those phone calls to recover that. But we definitely want to see people go out and vote. Turnout in municipal elections is normally low. The more people, the better. So please grab a friend or five and get out and vote tomorrow at your polling location. Last two updates, census is hiring. Census is hiring about 20,000 people in the state of Kansas. So if you know someone who needs a job, there you go. They will call you. So if you have a cell phone, make sure you answer it, because if not, you'll go back to the bottom of the call list and it'll come back. So answer that. If you have a phone and you've had trouble keeping them on, I always recommend getting a Google Voice number, because it always rings. No matter if your number changes, that number can stay the same. So I encourage people who have any type of phone issue to get a Google Voice number. That way they can still get phone calls even if their other service isn't working, if you have Wi-Fi. Lastly, District 1 breakfast in December, we will have a Riverfront Master Plan update. Just so you all know, as we're kind of winding down with that, there will be some draft opportunities for you to see at, actually it might be the November meeting. I have to go back and look, but there will be options presented that have Century 2 in it, some that don't, some that look at performing arts and keeping certain things that don't. And at this, you'll be able to play on the map with real life scale sizes, not real life, but scale sizes of Century 2, the library, and all of that, to see how everything fits. But at our December breakfast, we'll probably have a few of the preliminary results from that and get an idea of where we're going in January when everything is kind of rolled out. But just want to highlight, at the breakfast, there's an opportunity again to engage with the Riverfront, and we want to make sure that everybody has been reached or talked to, or we can get as many voices on this as possible. So that ends my updates, unless anyone has questions. All right, no motions to go to midnight?
Just want to for some Atwater updates real quick. We currently started Operation Holiday today, and we're looking for volunteers who are available during the day to help complete applications for people to receive holiday assistance. So this is where in single individual or people with children can sign up to receive Christmas presents, basically. And then, so we need volunteers all day from 9:30 to noon and 1:30 to 5. We also have the Hotspot program, free Wi-Fi program going. If you haven't heard or seen it, the city has a year-long program, the AARP of Kansas. And they are, we are checking out a free mobile device hotspot, so you can have internet at home for 2 weeks. You return it and have it for, you have to return it and wait 24 hours before you can check out another one. And that's for a year-long program, and they are being used and appreciated by our citizens. So again, Operation Holiday, we need volunteers or have people come sign up if they're in need of assistance. And that's it.
What are the requirements for Operation Holiday?
So to receive assistance, I have the flyer at the front door. It's the entire listing of what you need to bring. Like your name, social, income, things of that nature.
All right, assuming there are no motions to go to midnight, is there another motion?
Actually, I had one more update to tell you all, because I don't know if you get that information, but 21st and Oliver, not 11 and 12, but the West House number 2, they pulled their application, so they're not seeking rezoning anymore. So we got that notification. That's it.
Okay, we're good. Has been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Who wants to take credit for it?
Heflin.
Okay, very good. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Go
Meeting
vote.
adjourned.